Hello and welcome to Don't the Lead. We recap WWE SmackDown every Friday night after the bell. But tonight we had a PPU, WWE Payback. So we're going to be talking about that tonight. My name is John Zindel. I'm joined by Dom Scarcella. Dom, go ahead and tell the people a little bit about yourself.
We had a premium live event tonight with no bloodline, really. No Roman Reigns match. Nothing from the biggest ongoing story in WWE. No Gunther either. But it allowed other stories a chance to get some breathing room here. I think this is this may be a first for us. There was no bloodline at all involved for I mean, maybe we've had another pay-per-view like this, but I can't remember one off the top of my head. Without further ado, though, we don't have a fallback of the bloodline to go with. So don't bury the lead, John. What's going to be the top story from WWE Payback?
Dom, we don't ever bury the lead. We're jumping right into it. Believe it or not, it's going to be interesting tonight. It's not the main event. I think the Bloodline is the Judgment Day dominating this pay-per-view. They were all over it, top to bottom. And maybe I'll just throw the first match out that we can talk about is they win the tag tonight, and that's both the red brand and the blue brand belts. So now they're going to be carrying around, double belts. And the winners were Finn Balor and Damian Priest, and they knocked off Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn in what was a Pittsburgh street fight. So all kinds of mayhem.
Steel City street fight, yeah.
Steel City street fight. So this match was wild, but we have Finn Balor and Damian Priest going over. Dom, what did you think of this match?
21 minutes, and it got better as it went along.
Yeah.
And it's a little puzzling because why would Sammy and KO ask for a no disqualification match when they know Judgment Day has 4 or 5 people, depending on how much they like JD McDonough,
right,
without any backup of their own? And this winds up being a 5-on-2 match. Finn drapes his arm across Sammy for the pinfall after a 21-minute, pretty much hardcore match. Sammy had gone for a haluva kick, but the pinfall was broken up by Dominic Mysterio, who hits him on the back of the head with the Money in the Bank case. And then as Sammy's just lying there, Finn manages to get an arm across Sammy. 1, 2, 3. Real dramatic finish. 22 weeks, I think it is, that Sammy and KO had held the belts.
They had it for a while.
Almost exactly 5 months.
Yeah.
April 1st to September 2nd. I think they're looking at 5 months and a day. So it was about 22 weeks exactly, I think. That's a good run with the belts. I don't know, man. Coming into this, I had a funny feeling about this match because I watch this on Peacock. I don't watch on TV. And the thumbnails for Peacock all week leading up to this pay-per-view were just the Judgment Day. That's it. There was nobody else on the little poster. It was the 4 people from Judgment Day: Rhea, Dom Mysterio, Finn, and Damian Priest. And so I'm like, okay, this is the Judgment Day pay-per-view. That's what they're promoting. And we've talked about how it seems like when we do pay-per-views and finally get to see Judgment Day members, that they've been kind of running roughshod over Raw the way the Bloodline has on SmackDown for a long time.
Seems like
and this is
parallel group.
Right, and WWE loves factions. And does Judgment Day... Well, we'll get more into this match details, but just going with the lead of the ascension of the Judgment Day here. Does Judgment Day feel and look big enough for you to be in this role?
Yeah, for sure. Okay. They have plenty. They're actually a little bit more interesting because they have a more diverse group.
Right.
They have a big woman, snaky Nepo baby, and Dom Mysterio.
Yeah.
They've got Finn is like a guy from the UK. They got Damian Priest, who's a guy from like
Mhm.
Queens or somewhere in New York,
Yep.
and they're all like from different. They're all from pretty much different parts of the world because isn't Rhea Ripley from New Zealand or
She's
Australia?
Australia. These are these are the misfits who got thrown together a few years ago, and look where they are now. I mean, by the end of this match, this tag team match, the announce desk is saying Judgment Day's time is upon us, and then
Mm,
Damian Priest, you can hear him say Judgment Day runs the WWE, and
yeah,
I agree with you. I think these these four wrestlers are talented enough and have shown us enough where I think they could be sort of the alpha faction of the
they
WWE,
all play.
at least on Raw.
Yeah, they all play a different role too,
Yep, and they all have
because
belts now.
and they all have belts. Even though Dom's is the NXT North American Championship,
It is. Hey, it's a belt. It's shiny. You can wear it. You can hit people with it because you're a creepy heel.
that that'd be like what's it like a major league baseball player going down to the minors and like title, like
Yeah, there
well,
you go.
but but yeah, so I liked this match a lot, or yeah, I like this match. I thought it was pretty good. I should say I didn't like it a lot. I thought it was pretty good. I like the hockey gimmick thing they did with
That was
Kevin Owens.
brilliant. I love that too, man.
And they've had the hockey sticks in their hands, and you're reminded, oh, they're Canadian, so they know what they're doing when they're holding the sticks. When they had the hockey gear on, I was like, this should be their gear. Are you kidding me? They should be wearing hockey jerseys. If they're going to be out there in sweatpants, I think you could be pushing some serious jerseys.
Right? Sami
Mhm.
Zayn and Kevin Owens hockey jerseys. Yeah, they Judgment Day basically they fight into the stand. This is a mess of a match. This is every rule that AEW forbid their wrestlers from doing. They just did in this match.
Right.
You know, they're going into the stands with weapons. Um, Eventually, this is when Dominic Mysterio makes his first appearance to turn it into a 3-on-2. Then Judgment Day takes time to plan their strategy after pummeling Sami and Kevin Owens and dumping them over into what looked like it could have been the penalty box for a Penguins NHL game. They're in Pittsburgh. And as they're taking too long, KO and Sami emerge with a Lemieux 66 jersey from Mario Lemieux worn by Kevin Owens and a Sidney Crosby 87 jersey worn by Sami Zayn, and they've got hockey sticks. And now it gets even crazier because I got to tell you, when this match started, all four were brawling on the outside immediately, and in under 2 minutes, Sami and Finn each went for weapons. And I went, oh my goodness, this is going to be terrible. And you know what? It wasn't.
Yeah. No, I
It
think
wasn't terrible.
they did a good
Go
job
ahead.
with
I
the
mean,
weapons.
I liked it. What did you like about it? Since you liked it more enthusiastically than I did and sooner than I did? Besides the hockey gimmick, what else did you really like about this match?
There was a hilarious uh, KO crazy bump. Say
Okay.
hilarious because he took the swanton dive, and man, oh man, he barely caught the table and caught all the concrete of the floor. He took
He
that way
did.
bad.
He swanton bombed Dominic Mysterio, who'd been laid out on a table in the stands. KO climbs up to the next level of seating and leaps off of the railing. Yeah.
Yeah. So and then
It was a little
honestly,
higher than the ropes normally, so maybe they misjudged how far out the table had to be.
he most certainly misjudged it. I could say that because
Yeah.
he really missed the table. But I like this aspect. I didn't like. I think Kevin Owens didn't do a blade job. He did the fake blood. So if I'm going to get some color, I want to see a blade job because he came out
Okay.
bleeding like, and you never see him anybody in WWE busted open. So I think he does like a blade or a blood pill, and then that's what
Okay.
instead of because like they can't use
Okay.
real blood. So I think that's really corny. I'm not even
Hmm.
really that big of a fan of blade jobs in general, unless there's like a really specific situation, I think. And this might be really it where you could have a blade job, but usually like a real awesome one on one rivalry that you have with somebody forever. whatever. That's when I like. But anyways,
JD McDonough came out eventually, pulled Sammy out on a
who is that guy?
on a pin attempt. JD McDonough, he's an NXT call-up. He was on the draft that they did in April. He apparently has a long history with Finn Balor. He's been trying to finagle his way into Judgment Day, but nobody except Finn Balor likes him.
Oh, okay. He's like one of those
And
guys.
so like he's trying to ingratiate himself to Judgment Day. Maybe he was like Sami Zayn trying to ingratiate himself to the bloodline, except JD McDonough isn't the comedy guy. But yeah, there's some of that flavor of there's an outsider trying to get in. Rhea Ripley comes out, which is really unusual in a men's match, but she winds up spearing Kevin Owens through the barricade outside.
That was
back in the ring. Right, wasn't it cool? Yeah. And Rhea makes it believable.
She smashed him through the thing. Like she destroyed
she's
him.
Believable with her size and speed and strength to do that.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And
I like that.
I'm not a big wrestling person. I'm not like I don't really particularly care for it. But Rhea Ripley specifically being so physically large and then just spearing Kevin Owens and he can't see it when he doesn't see it coming. Yeah, it was really cool.
This was a good match. This was a better match than I thought it would be. I love KO and Sammy, but for them to lose with the odds stacked against them like this, I think they still look strong, and I wonder what happens to them next. This was a better match than I thought at the 2-minute mark. This wound up being a much better match by the 20-minute mark and 21-minute mark. Good job. This was a hardcore all over the arena match that didn't get too messy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Amazingly.
No, sometimes they get messy, but I think they kept it together enough. And for me, it's the right winner. I was kind of pulling for him in my head the whole time. I'm like, I hope Judgment Day actually wins this. So
okay. Especially if it's going to be 5-on-2. You can't have the 2 beat 5, can you?
Yeah, right. But okay.
Let's take Rhea Ripley a step further. What a great spot for her in that tag match. She comes out maybe 20, almost half an hour later for her match, which was the second to last match of the night. She puts her Women's World Championship on the line against Raquel Rodriguez. This match goes 18 minutes. Rhea Ripley retains. What did you think of this match?
So I think it started pretty slow and dull. Like I like when it's slow, but it felt like it was dry. It went after the Grayson Waller effect. It went after all the mayhem. People had already seen Rhea Ripley. I feel like when people see people already, it kind of ruins them. So when she comes out, it's less impressive. But I think they were able to build throughout the course of the match and get the crowd a little bit more invested in it. And, you get Dom in the ring. And, of course, he's a heat machine. So Dom interferes. And as a result of interference, Rhea is able to retain. This wasn't the best match, but it was just a tough spot. They're in the bathroom break spot, So I felt
it's a tough spot, but I like the match. Let's take the finish. So you mentioned Dominic Mysterio. For a guy who was not booked for a match, he winds up being involved in 2 finishes of title matches. Yes, he comes out to interfere, tries to pull Rhea out of the ring as Raquel is got her hands on her late in the match. Winds up pulling Dominic Mysterio into the ring, where now that he's in the ring, Raquel picks him up, hits a running power slam on him, which people love because he's small enough to take that kind of a move from Raquel. You don't like the intergender stuff, but if it's going to be Raquel hitting a power move on Dominic, just like, if it's going to be Rhea hitting a real looking spear on Kevin Owens through a barricade, you'll take it. But that allows Rhea to recover and kicks Raquel on her left thigh, then an enziguri as Raquel staggers down to a knee and then hits the riptide for the pinfall. 21 minutes. I like this match. It did start slowly, but it was supposed to. Rhea Ripley likes the slower, more deliberate pace. She kind of stalks her opponents like Gunther does. And Raquel being a bigger wrestler, she's not going to be flying around the ring. So yeah, they were feeling each other out, doing the tests of strength. I liked it. This was a good match. It wasn't like a 5-star match like Rhea Charlotte at WrestleMania.
Right.
But for what it was, I thought Raquel and Rhea both gave good showings of themselves in this match. It was a different style match. Usually you don't see big brute power matches out of women. You know, sometimes there's one woman who's really strong, but the other one isn't. This
I'm
was a special match. I liked it.
even thinking of the card. They were the two big men on the card. They're women, but they're the
Right?
two big. That was a big hoss match. You
Yep.
know, this is just two big old hosses, Vader and Bam Bam Bigelow, but as women.
Sure.
You know,
Right?
but I thought it was a pretty good match. You know, I think if I rewatched the tag match and then I rewatched the Rhea Ripley match, I believe I'd probably pick the Rhea Ripley match just because, like, the tag match was just mayhem. And I feel like I've seen
Okay.
so much mayhem recently and watch AEW, and they do it a little better sometimes. And there's just so much of it out there now that it's like
uh,
I'm like I'm a little over it. So
okay.
to be frank. So, anyways, that's the lead here. So we're talking about the Judgment Day. Anything else you
Judgment
want to say
Day
about?
on the rise, and we think that's good. We think they're ready. We think these 4 wrestlers, maybe 4.5 if JD McDonough, we think this faction is ready to take over Raw at least and maybe become the A storyline in WWE.
For sure, they're on fire. So
All
that's the
right.
lead, and it's going to take us on down to the rest of the show. And this segment we call the follow. So, Dom, what's the next match you'd like to talk about from Payback?
I want to tell you, the first 2 matches of the night were really cool and really different. I want to go, of course. It's LA Knight versus MIZ. This was fun. It's the second match of the night, and it's the first time we see John Cena. He comes out to the ring. He announces himself as the host of Payback, says he will make himself the special referee for LA Knight versus The Miz, which brings out The Miz, who's not happy about this. Miz has a great line. You're almost 50 years old and you still dress like a Teletubby. So
Yeah.
the Miz is fantastic, and it's a shame that he gets treated like this comedy jobber sometimes, like at WrestleMania, where he was just this throwaway guy for cheap segments. Because
Oh yeah.
the Miz is fantastic on the mic, and as we saw in this match, he could wrestle. LA Knight goes over,
Hmm.
hits the power slam off the ropes, into the LA Knight jumping elbow, into the blunt force trauma, that snapmare DDT type maneuver for the pinfall. This match goes 16 minutes. It was enjoyable. John Cena was the special guest referee after all and counted the pinfall. What did you think of this match? Not only the work involved, but all the extracurricular stuff that went into it, building a story quickly, throwing Cena into it, maybe the post match there at the end between Cena and LA Knight. There's a lot of stuff to delve into if you want to. There's a lot
Yeah.
of weeds here if you want to get into the weeds.
Yeah. No, I do. Just maybe about the match in general.
Hmm.
Pretty cool stuff they did with the DDT. So, Miz did like kind of a double DDT, and then cool because for some reason people like that move just went away. So it was cool to see them do that, and then LA Knight did a
DDT
swinging.
holds on, brings him up, and hits a second DDT. You're talking about that sequence?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
it's not just for suplexes. You could do it for DDTs.
right,
Hold on and hit another one. Yeah,
yeah,
you got a 2 count out of that.
and Miz did a swinging DDT, or excuse me, LA Knight did a swinging DDT.
Right
So,
after that, he did a spinning DDT out of the corner after the Miz missed his charge. Yeah.
mhm. So I like what they were doing with the DDT stuff. I do have a note here for Miz, and I just wrote in all caps, cheap heat. Like, if you want to know how to get cheap heat, I mean, he's doing all of the cheap heat. Like,
He's
he's in
brilliant.
Pittsburgh. He's wearing the Browns colors because he's from Cleveland, too. So he's dressed up in
Ah,
orange, which are the Browns. colors, and that's their rival. He's and then in addition to that, he's just mimicking LA Knight like a
Yes.
little child. Like, you don't even
Yes.
have to be good at anything. You could go LA Knight, MIZ. He was doing that instead of LA
Yes.
Knight.
Yep.
He said MIZ. So he's doing like really chickeny, childish heckling, but that's the you can do to get over with the crowd. Like, for some of these guys that are heels, and we saw one tonight. Maybe we could talk about him in theory. Like, he's a heel, but he's just a kind of a guy in there. He's not really doing any of this stuff. Like, if he wants to get some heat, pay attention to what
The Miz is more than just a guy, and yes, I liked everything he was doing. The mocking, the mannerisms. He's still a good enough athlete where he can do this.
yeah.
This was a good wrestling match. I enjoyed it. They each wind up arguing with Cena, the special referee, because Cena's kind of aggressive when he's giving them the counts in the corners or in the ropes. At 4, he just barges in and throws the guy off, pushes him off, and each of them get up in Cena's face. They were trying to make it seem that Cena wasn't favoring LA Knight because he has a history with The Miz. They were rivals. Um, and I think it worked. Like, this match winds up giving LA Knight not only a good rub from being in there with The Miz, who's brilliant, but he also gets a John Cena rub out of this. This
Yeah.
was a lot of stuff. I mean, post match, and I don't want to just bury the match itself, but post match, Cena and LA Knight are up near the entrance, and Cena's trying to say, "Man, hey," extends the hand to shake, respect, respect. And LA Knight's not buying it from it. He's like, "Hey, you almost cost me this match." And that was after
I
Miz
like
and Cena
that.
had been arguing. Yeah, Miz and Cena had been arguing because Cena had refused to count the pinfall with the Miz holding onto the rope. So as LA Knight's recovering, he charges at the Miz, who sidesteps. LA almost hits Cena, but he doesn't. And as he's backing off Cena and saying, "Hey, I'm sorry," and Cena's like kind of staring at him, the Miz sneaks up behind him, hits the skull crushing finale. 2.5 count. LA Knight just kicked out. And that's when the Miz starts mocking Cena and LA Knight too much and winds up getting beat. But at the end of it, yeah, LA Knight saying, "Yeah, you almost cost me this match." They're drawn. But at the end, Cena says, "Look, hey, it's just respect for what you did in there." And LA Knight winds up shaking his hand. The crowd sees it. They pop. Cena goes through the entranceway first, leaving LA Knight by himself at the top of the ramp. Like, this is detail work, placement. Where do you have to be? This was all brilliant to get LA Knight as much good feeling as you can without being too schmaltzy and cheesy.
And he did a good job being up at the top of the ramp with Cena and was looking at him. Like, not just like, "Oh,
Yeah,
thank you so much, John Cena. I love you." He's up there like, "Yo, you almost lost me
he's
the
not
match." And then,
fanboy.
"Oh, we're cool." Yeah. So, like, he wasn't being like a bright-eyed baby face. He was still being like LA
Mhm.
Knight, who's cocky, right?
He's still a
So,
tough guy. Just because
yeah.
the crowd's cheering for him doesn't mean he's, not the Kavorka and the guy who slept in roach infested apartments and had to claw his way, worked in a lumber yard while putting himself through wrestling school, was on the indie circuits for years, taking jobs in commercials and weird TV shows, wherever he
Mhm.
could to scrape by. I mean, he and The Miz had a good exchange on Monday, and I think they tried on last night as well on SmackDown to go through this. But LA Knight, he's still the tough guy, even if the crowd cheers for him, and he has to retain that. He can't become vanilla. He can't become smooth edged.
Mhm.
He's got to be still rough around the edges and a tough guy. And this will be a challenge for him. It's easier to do that when you're getting booed.
Question for you here. While we're in the
Yes.
weeds, we might as well talk about it.
Yeah.
Did you like Cena being a part of this whole program? Do you think he helped it out, or do you just see Miz versus Cena? Or excuse me, Miz versus LA Knight?
I think Cena added something. The fact that he was getting physical with each guy, not trying to not trying to play favorites, and at the end almost did cost LA Knight the match when LA Knight like held up to not pummel the ref, on
Mhm.
that charge attempt there because Cena was just like in the wrong spot. I think it worked, and I think the way they played it post match, yeah, I think this was a good use of John Cena, and everybody played their part. Like, and you hit the nail on the head. Like, LA Knight didn't just start glowing over Cena at the end, because that would have been a bad use of Cena.
Yeah.
Don't bring him in for other people to fanboy over him.
Yeah, for sure. I think it would have been fine without Cena. And like you said, it added an element to it. It'd be interesting to see what happened if those two had a little bit more of a serious match, because it was a little bit goofier with Cena in there and like all that weird back and forth with Cena. But the right guy won. So
the right guy won.
You know,
would you be averse to seeing this feud continue somehow?
No, I think it probably maybe Cena being it up to being you could keep it going. And maybe that's what they're aiming for. Maybe next time Miz wins, and then hopefully LA Knight wins. I would be okay with it to keep going.
Yeah, I think this is good for both guys, because I haven't seen the Miz wrestle since we've been watching, and that's even just looking at clips on Raw until this program here. So it reminds people that Miz can go.
Hopefully they come over to SmackDown, because I play night on SmackDown.
Right? This was good, though. I think it's good for both guys. I'm with you. I would not mind seeing this continue. So where do you want to go after this? We're halfway through the 6-match card here.
Well,
what do you like?
What is a match?
You mentioned Austin Theory. You mentioned Seth Rollins already. What do you want to go
to? Boy, we just skipped over the main event, didn't we?
We did skip over the main event. Seth freaking Rollins. Well, you asked me where you wanted to go next, and this main event, if you want to go to it now for the World Heavyweight Championship, it just did not feel like the main event of a pay-per-view to me. Right? I mean, it just did not.
Can you hang on a sec? You started to chop up? Can you try talking now?
Okay. Sure. I mean, on to the World Heavyweight Championship match.
Okay, I can hear you now.
You asked me where you wanted to go. I wanted to go to LA Knight, especially since this did not feel like the main event of a premium live event to me. I know it's Seth Rollins, but Seth versus Shinsuke Nakamura, I don't know. I mean, it wasn't a bad match, but it didn't feel like main event of a PLV to me. Did it feel like that to you? Like, am I shortchanging this match? What do you think?
This is one of Rollins' matches that I've liked the most from him.
Okay.
And I've just seen him wrestle this style that I just can't stand. The 3 dives, dressing up like a woman, the whole time. Tonight he wrestled a real match that was physical and hard hitting. So this is this is one of my favorite Rollins matches I've seen recently. So
okay, then you take the lead. What did you since you have more of a history with Seth Rollins and like this match? What did you like? What stood out to you? These guys go 26 minutes. This is the longest match of the night, and Rollins does wind up winning. So what did you? What stood out to you here that made it good?
So I see they're kind of repackaging Nakamura, or they're putting him kind of what he was doing in NXT, and more importantly in New Japan, is what's called strong style, which is a type of wrestling, strong style, where you want to make things look as realistic as possible. His hero or his trainer was Inoki. So
wow.
So yeah, so he learned that's from Inoki, and that's what Nakamura does. And he was doing all the strong style stuff tonight, all this brutal punching in the back. Like, he just kept punching him in the back. And there was also a lot of cool stuff. Like, he had a single crab in, and while he had the crab, he's like kicking him in the face, and it's like additional stuff that you would think, like, typical pro wrestling's like this, single crab, and then, but, to add to the strong style here, Nakamura is kicking him in the face. And the whole time like kind of he's disrespecting him by putting his foot on him and kicking him forward on his head like that. So all that stuff I really liked. And I think this is probably one of Seth's better matches because I didn't see the three dives, all the greatest hits. I don't have him going like this, and then the crowd starts singing. Like I just don't like that.
So 3 dives is where you draw the line at 3.
It's the 3 dives. It drives me nuts. So I didn't see the 3 dives.
My notes here for the match are early mat wrestling. Nakamura rubs Seth's back while they're in the ropes waiting for a break. And then the next note I wrote down was 7 minutes in, Seth has hit 2 dives to the outside. But he stopped at 2. He did not hit the 3rd dive. And therefore, he gets an extra star from you in this match.
Yeah. And I did want to make a little bit of a joke here. So this is New Japan style that they're doing. And I like the match. I'm like, oh, no wonder Dave Meltzer gives this stuff 5 stars. I like this style.
Okay.
So Dave Meltzer is going to be pleased with this match. I can promise you that.
All right. Except for the length of this match, it looked to me for a long time like it could have been on Raw. Just could have been like a decent Raw main event. But of course, the length, let him go 26 minutes. Some of the reversals. At the end of it, you talked about Nakamura mocking Seth. Late in this match, he's waiting for Seth Rollins to recover enough so that Nakamura can hit his finishing kick that he does, the running kick. But Seth stays down, so Nakamura kind of saunters over to mock him. And then he tries to suplex Seth into the ring after they fought for a while, but Seth slides out of it. Couple of reversals. Seth hits a pedigree, but can't cover. So now they're back to kind of vertical base again. Nakamura gets him up into what looks like a fireman's carry. Seth slithers out of it. Nakamura drops onto his shoulders, though, for a pin attempt. Seth kicks out, and as Seth gets to his feet first, quickly hits a stomp. It wasn't the one where he waits in the corner and the crowd gets up for it and anticipates it. This was an out-of-nowhere stomp into the mat, and that's what gets the pinfall.
Right.
So to what you're saying, Seth Rollins is not doing his usual manner of hitting these moves, right? This was a change of pace for Seth too. It wasn't just like Nakamura's doing his stuff and Seth is still trying to do Seth Rollins stuff.
Exactly. All right, Dom.
What about the story there? Because we don't see this a lot on Raw. But one more thing: the story there was that Seth Rollins has a broken back, and Nakamura knows about it. And that's why suddenly this program is together. But then they keep telling us that Seth Rollins has had this broken back problem for many, many months, maybe even 2 years. So why is this a big deal now?
Yes.
Like, how is it suddenly a big deal? Like, he's been doing all this stuff with a broken back. Now it's a big deal. I don't get it. And then the announcers during the match are saying, well, it doesn't always flare up on him, just sometimes, so it might not be bothering him today.
What a dumb use of the injury.
Why are we having this match?
Yeah. Here's what they need to do to really build it up. Nakamura attacks Seth, his up. Then he comes out with tape all over his back. So you make it super obvious. Because I can guarantee you nobody in the crowd knew anything about his freaking back. I guess maybe they had the promo. So maybe that was helpful. But, if you have the tape, it makes it's an added touch, which is helpful. Okay, so
2 matches left. Where do you want to go? What do you want me to choose?
I'll go for it. So
go for it.
Trish Stratus versus Becky Lynch in the opener in a cage match. I can't even believe.
I was going to go there too.
I can't even believe I'm saying that right now in 2023. I'm saying Trish Stratus in a cage match, but here I am. Becky Lynch ends up winning this by pinning Trish Stratus. This was a physical confrontation. They really went for it.
It went 20 minutes too.
And what did you think of this one, Dom?
I liked it.
Mm-hmm.
This is maybe my favorite cage match I've seen in a long time.
Yeah, I thought the same thing.
This was fun, and we talk about Edge is 50 years old. We were talking about him main eventing SmackDown, and now Rey Mysterio with his belt is 48. And we've talked about Tyrus from the NWA is 50, and some guys in AEW are up there. Trish Stratus is a few months shy of turning 48.
Yeah.
And when she came back to the WWE many months ago, she looked like she was not in ring shape.
Mm-hmm.
Her timing was off. She wasn't ring ready. But, they talked about she was a fitness enthusiast before getting into wrestling. And that's why they brought her in, just to kind of be eye candy. And it turns out, she's a tremendous athlete. All these years later, she has kept herself in fantastic shape. And all these months later, she now has her ring legs under her. She has her ring timing down. I thought she performed so well in this. I mean, Becky Lynch did also, but Becky's in her prime. That's more expected. Trish was a worthy opponent in this match. I enjoyed the heck out of it. Becky wins, fighting off Zoe Stark, who manages to involve herself in this cage match, even though the whole idea of the cage match was no interference. These two competitors stuck in the cage. Becky winds up fighting off Zoe with a manhandle slam, then chases Trish up the cage, winds up hitting a top turnbuckle manhandle slam for the pinfall at the 20-minute mark. Post-match, Zoe and Trish seem to have a spat and then a breakup. But lots to talk about. There could be some weeds here to talk about as well. But, I mean, what did you like about this match, and where did you want to go with it?
I thought the whole match was crazy stiff. And I think Trish, she doesn't have her wrestling legs under her. And I think Lita specifically, we saw her trying to do flippies, trying to do like Hurricane Rana and trying to do things. And she just looked like crap because she's trying to do stuff that she did when she's 20, but now she's 50. I mean, she's 48. She's almost 50, right? So, I saw her tonight adjust her game a little bit Terry Funk, where
hey there,
he, as an older man, and I know he did sometimes a crazy high spot here and there, but he was just real physical and brawling. He was a brawler. And tonight, Trish was brawling. She was taking, what's her name, Becky Lynch's head and slamming it up against and then rubbing it up and down up against the cage and just being rough and tumble brawler. And then that was really cool. The top of the cage, they both were actually using the cage for something besides a weapon. For some reason, people just seem to use it as a weapon, and then they go out that. No, you should be going up and over the cage, So they use the cage. They get up to the top. When Trish is hanging over the edge, when her legs are locked in and then she hangs over the edge, I was like, whoa, she is going crazy right now.
Yes. Yes, I saw that one too. That was a crazy spot with both of them straddling the top of the cage. Yeah. And nobody died.
Nobody died.
Incredibly. That was another note I wrote down. Trish looks bruised on her arms and forehead. This was 10 minutes into a 20-minute match. So you're right about them working stiff. Nobody bladed, so there was no blood, but you could see that this was a really physical match for them.
Oh, for sure. And that it looks better because the blade's fake. So, and
yes,
the forehead, the forehead bump is legit and stiff. That's all it really is. It's real.
How about Becky Lynch top turn superplexing Trish back into the ring? Basically, she pulls Trish back over the top of the cage, locks in the face lock, then uses the cage to help get Trish in the vertical position. Big superplex. Got a 2.5 count out of that.
I thought
they
that
still had 3 more minutes.
Sorry, I think you broke up here. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, yes.
So I think she actually, that should have been the finish. because I said that move was so crazy. 1, 2, 3 called the match, but I know they did the false finish, and then they had all this nonsense at the end.
They needed Zoe Stark to come out. Yep, try to drag Trish out through the door. You know, a lot of fun. A lot of fun for this match, and because it was the only cage match on the card, it's not like it gets it doesn't get lost. Like I think we saw 6 matches that were all different tonight.
Yeah,
and I think each one was better than average for what it was. I'm gonna say, and this cage match was fun.
I'll talk about that during the thumb drive too. Moving on here, we have one last match. Rey Mysterio versus Austin Theory. Rey Mysterio retains the hardest working retired Hall of Famer in the biz, is now winning the title on SmackDown, during a pay-per-view here.
Retaining the title, the hardest working retired man in wrestling to Trish Stratus's hardest working retired woman in wrestling. This match goes 10 minutes. It's the shortest match on the card. But I wrote down it was pretty entertaining for a 10-minute pay-per-view match. Austin Theory, you brought him up earlier. What do you want to say about him in this match?
I would have to just say, wow. Like, I thought he would probably get the title for whatever reason. I don't know why they dropped it off. He dropped it, but Rey Mysterio goes over clean. And Rey Mysterio is a 48-year-old veteran that doesn't need a U.S. title. So I wrote that he's buried. Like, he came in as, as a prodigy, as the future of the company, I felt like a year ago. And now he's losing matches to Rey Mysterio in a mid-card match for the U.S. title. So I don't know what they're doing with him, but he just doesn't have it, or he's not ready yet,
Was part of the problem that they kept having him win not clean? Like, they never gave this guy a real clean win anywhere where he looked strong. I mean, he had a belt, but they kept making him look like, oh, he doesn't deserve it.
He seems, there's a lot of feedback I have for him. He seems like he is not wrestling like a heel at all. When he's in these matches, you would think he's a babyface by the way he wrestles. He doesn't cheat. He's really smooth and clean with his transitions. He's clean cut. Outside of the fact that he has dark trunks on, you would assume he's a babyface. He doesn't do anything that he's a heel. He needs to take some notes from Miz,
Right?
So there's that aspect of it. And I've just found him to be pretty boring. And I hate to get a decent match tonight, but he's just been boring on the mic and boring in the interviews. So maybe they're just reevaluating what he can do. I don't know. It's not a good spot for him to be at.
It looks like he's having his storyline and his push repackaged. I thought he performed well in this match, and maybe that's because they cut it off at the 10-minute mark. They gave him as much as maybe he could handle looking his best, and then each of them got out of the ring. And maybe that's for Rey as well. He is 48, and he still does that high-flying, energetic style. So that's got to wear you down. Rey hits a 619, then a springboard splash, but Theory gets his knees up, then holds on to Rey, rolls into a standing position, tries to get Rey on his shoulders for that 8-town down attempt, but Rey slides forward, drops him on his shoulders, sits, grabs the legs into a front roll up there for the pin. So it was a very Rey Mysterio finish, which it has to be. Rey can't be overpowering guys. It's got to take everything that Rey has to just get a guy down for barely 3 seconds. And I think it worked here. You mentioned Theory's his timing and his sequences look good. I think that as well. Rey did the headfirst baseball slide to the outside onto Theory early in this match. Theory tried to stand up and catch him, so Rey turned it into a DDT on the floor. Good timing by both guys involved. Good looking spot and unexpected. So Theory has his good points. He's athletic. He looks like $1,000,000. He just doesn't do the heel stuff well enough. And if the only thing about you that makes you a heel is that you can't win clean, then you need more. You need more personality. You need something else. And maybe this gives Austin Theory, without the pressure of the belt, a
Hey,
chance to get that something else.
hey, Dom. Hey, Dom. Hey,
Yes.
Dom. You're breaking up.
I am breaking up. Okay, you are not
Can you
breaking
hear
up
me?
on my end. I see you fine.
Okay.
I was waxing eloquently about Austin Theory and how maybe getting the belt off of him gives him a chance to work on things without the pressure of the belt.
Okay. We can hear you now, so we're in good shape.
There we go. That's all I wanted to say about him.
All
And
right.
that's our 6 matches for the night.
Okay. Let's do it. And Dom, I'm gonna let you take over here because you've got the line. So this is our segment here, Dom.
It's drive time. It's the thumb drive. This is where we try and filter down everything we've seen into a straight binary: thumbs up or thumbs down. Thumbs in the middle is not allowed. You can kind of teeter, but you gotta make a decision, right? We gotta go thumbs up or thumbs down. How do you want to do it here? You may have had a better impression of the pay per view than I did. I don't know. Do you want to go first here? Or do you want me to go first?
I could start us off here. So I'm gonna go thumbs up
Okay,
for this pay-per-view. And I'm gonna give you some reasons why.
go for it.
They a bunch of matches and they were all different. And they had different styles, and they had different types of people in them. And it was kind of an unexpectedly good pay-per-view. This one was pleasantly surprising. The Pittsburgh crowd was awesome. Sometimes, it's weird. They go to these big cities and they're crap. They go to LA like crazy, and it's always like roll the eye. And then they go to Pittsburgh and they're crazy. So Pittsburgh did a great job. They did, they had a hardcore match. They had a cage match. They had regular singles matches that were good. So from my perspective, they had enough diversity within the matches they had, and I thought they were good enough that I gave it the thumbs up.
Okay, I'm gonna say also thumbs up. The
Ah,
best worker in the company, Gunter, not on this pay per view. Biggest storyline in the company, Bloodline, really not on this pay per view. Although Jey Uso was there briefly because Cody Rhodes pulled some strings to get him back onto Raw, and then he super kicked Grayson Waller. But really, Bloodline not on this match. So best worker and biggest story not on this pay per view, but everything worked. And I think a lot of what I saw tonight was pay-per-view quality. I've mentioned this before on there were some pay-per-views where I just didn't think what I was watching was pay-per-view quality, premium live event quality. Tonight it was. Tonight it was. I didn't like the main event as much as you did, but it wasn't bad. And I like where they're going with Judgment Day. Uh, for 6 matches, a little John Cena, a little Grayson Waller, uh, an enjoyable pay per view. And they didn't drag it out forever. It was over in 3.5 hours.
yeah. Oh, that's huge. No. I should even bring that up. When we started the show, I think it was like 11:30, or we got going. It was 11:30. I'm like, okay, we got some time.
Yep.
So this is good. Well,
I think there's a lot to look forward to in WWE. So, hey, it's a pay per view, so we run a little longer than we do for SmackDown. But that's all I got, John. We gave it 2 thumbs up tonight. We talked some cheap heat. We went outside of just the WWE SmackDown universe. We got a pretty decent, although surprising, pay per view.
I'll tell you what, Dom. We had a good pay-per-view tonight, and Don't Bury the Lead had itself a pretty good week. We're getting a lot of views for specific videos. The NWA video we did with NWA and AEW, that one is long enough that we're getting some good view time, which is good. It's not just view, it's the amount of time that it gets watched.
Fantastic.
So that's done pretty good. I have a video kind of, with MJF. That's going to be that has our highest views. And then the NWA is still alive. Go check that one out. That one's got 234 views. So if you're here and you're watching and you like the NWA, or you're just curious about it, we kind of give a rundown about what's going on with the NWA these days and Billy Corgan. We're gonna keep.
Yeah, man, the Dave Meltzer video is still climbing too. We've got things that people are interested in as they find our channel.
And I
So,
forgot to mention
yes,
this.
thank you very much for finding our channel. Please subscribe. Help us get to our next benchmark. Whatever platform you find us on, thank you. If you want to see the mother load, everything we've got, that's our YouTube channel. Head on over there, hit subscribe so you know when John, when you put out these great edited clips and shorts that appear during the week. We live stream once a week typically, but we do other cool stuff that drops on other days. So keep in touch with us for that. It's been a cool ride. We are almost at our 1 year mark. We're not quite there yet. We're still babies.
We are still babies, but at the end of the month,
We're still infants. We've got a few teeth coming in, but
crying like crazy.
We're maybe standing up and holding on to things, but there we go.
Well, speaking of infants, I can literally hear my infant crying. So I think it's time for me to hit the old dusty trail. Dom,
what a segue there.
What a segue. Dom, thanks so much for joining. Really appreciate your help on this one. Thank you out there for watching, guys. I saw some people on Facebook and Twitch, and we'll be making a video for YouTube. 2 videos, really, out of this. So thanks so much. Have a great rest of your evening.